I have some questions I'd like answered, or at least I have some questions I would like to ask and think about. While I review this new album, Hatton, Garden, Holdup by Streetz and Darringer, my main question is what is Streetz? Do we even know? And tied into that question is, how do you recognize greatness that's sort of unassuming? Greatness that creeps up on you. Greatness which, even while it's saying it's the best in the world, seems kind of modest and quiet. But not even performatively quiet. Listen, okay, so some rappers are just so good because they're so good, and you recognize it immediately, and they're loud, and they're charismatic, and they're brilliant, and Biggie, Tupac, Wayne, Eminem, all the greats that you can think of right off the bat. Ghostface, you think of their voices, you immediately know their voices, you immediately know their style. Other rappers, though, and we've come to appreciate them as well, are so subtle. They're so on the low, but they're so great. Often like Makhami, like Ka, like Billy Woods, or if you want to go south, like Mavi, or want to go west, like Earl Sweatshirt, very great craftsmen who are just sort of kind of on the low. But what is Streetz? Where does he fit into this schema? Where does he fit into this whole dichotomy I'm putting? Because he's not really there. He is unassumingly great. He's neither quiet nor loud. He has a remarkable voice, but not necessarily one that you instantly go, oh, that's Streetz. He has a remarkable style, but not one where you instantly go, oh, that's it. Because there's this other question that I have to ask. Is he on the Gorn list? That's the term I use for greatest of right now. Is he a top 5 MC right now? Have you listened to his music? Have you listened to his rhymes? Have you taken time to really hear what he's doing? Even his name is Streetz. What does that mean? Is he from Rome? What is that? And then his album's what is that? And then his song title's what is that? If you asked me just on any given day, who are your favorite active MCs? I would give you, a whole list of names. And I'm not sure that Streetz would make it on there, but I've only reviewed 2 of his projects. One of them I bought, right? That tells you something. This is his project with Ransom, another great unassuming artist who might be on that top 5 list. But I'm actually wrong. I reviewed 2 of his projects, and I bought both of them. That's 100% of me listening and going, wow, I need to drop some of my hard-earned money on this music for this guy with the finger up. That tells you something. And it's wild that he's able to be so good, and have you not always feel that you recognize how good he is? I'm thinking is he the king of New York? Is he the best underground crime rapper? I know a lot of people love Boldy James, but I think I'd put him above Boldy James. I just got a lot of people upset there, but I think I would. He doesn't have that same level of sort of charismatic voice thing going, and maybe his references aren't deeper, but if you just go bar for bar, because he's not flashy. That's what's crazy, he doesn't do the word salad trick. He talks a lot about crime, but he's not trying to lose you on details. He's not I used 2/3 of bromide and mixed it in with baking soda that heated it on the stove for 4.5 minutes before I added some salt and some alkaline. None of that stuff. You can tell I cooked a lot of crack in my life. He's not doing that. Nor is he particularly violent or particularly rude or he didn't pick a lane. He's not I'm the pimp guy or I am the crack guy. He is just a rapper. He doesn't even really talk about himself. He doesn't even really talk about the conflicts and the struggles that he feels within himself, which, to be honest, would make it easier to talk about this. Sorry, I hear the garbage trucks go by. It would make it easier for me to talk about this album because I could be it's fascinating. He's discussing his passage from America to London and back to America and his life of crime. No, he's just a rapper who just raps. And when you take time to listen to what he raps it so unbelievably well. He uses so many multisyllabic rhymes, syllabic rhyme runs. He does all of these things, but it never feels like effort. it never seems like he's sitting there and he's like counting off syllables, you know? I do this thing where when I'm listening to music, I just go to Lyric Genius, whatever, and I highlight and I cut and I paste. And it's always annoying because it doesn't always read, and then sometimes I like copy the whole page. I have like, you know, commercials for Levi's in the middle of my show notes. It's very confusing. Anyways, so I take the verses and I cut them out, but like I had to stop. I had to stop because every single song contains these kinds of verses that are just so great. And while we are in the middle of this, what was it that Read My Soul calls it, the great reset of hip-hop, as we're here and we're sort of rethinking and hip-hop is getting to be perhaps more conscious or less pop, this is exactly the kind of thing that we just never need to lose, because he's describing this life, he's making great rhymes, he's not selling out, he's just making rap almost in its most pure form, I would say. I would almost say it's in its most pure form, because it's not even trying. It's funny because earlier in the week, I did 2 rock videos in a row, and someone's like, "I thought you said hip hop was the most important genre of all time." And whoever that was, I just want to say I appreciate you criticizing me. I mean, you know, it's a little bit annoying because this channel is about human greatness. It happens to be that most human greatness in the realm of music is in the form of hip hop these days. But it's not the only form of human greatness. But still, I love it. I love the passion and the fervor. And yes, this is what we need to study. I had another little side note here. Thank you for auditing, by the way, the Always Positive New Music Review show, hosted by a French professor who is exiled to his porch because I have a newborn and a 2-year-old. I do watch my monitor during the video. If she starts crying, this video is just going to stop. You're going to have to click on a part 2 somewhere. But that's why I'm out here. I know I seem cozy, but it's actually because I am, as you kids would say, on my grind. And my hands are cold, so you'll hear me warming them up quite a bit. I live up here in Western New York, and it's getting there. So this other point that I had was like, I had a dream project. And you can get mad at me for this one, but this is my dream project. Collaborate with 21 Savage. Because I think he's sort of the underground 21 Savage. And not just because they're both born in London and moved to the States and rap a lot about crime. But, yeah, actually that's why. But like, imagine how cool it would be to have like Rome Streetz rapping on trap beats, 21 Savage rapping on boom bap beats. They could then collaborate with London rappers and do like UK drill stuff, and it could just be like this whole great American English crossover thing with like the mainstream and the underground. I'm sorry, this is what I do with my time. I come up with little imaginary fun projects. So, you know, is he the greatest of right now? Well, I don't know. I mean, that Mock On Me album was so good. There's a lot of great artists right now. A lot of great rappers right now. But definitely top 10 and maybe top 5. And the main problem I have is that he's hard to talk about, with the exception of just saying, he's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. Like you say it different ways, because he's not as extreme in his crime as Pusha T or Boldy. He's not introspective. He just pushed it. Let me give you an example with the song Ace of Base. I think Ace of Base is a perfect example of this album. Okay? Of course, the title itself, Ace of Base, is a play on the Swedish pop band from the 90s. I looked it up. Rome Streetz is 35. So I guess he might have grown up with Ace of Base. Their most famous song was called I Saw the Signs. In order to warm myself up, I'm going to have a sip of coffee and I'm going to sing the song. I saw the sign, I saw the sign, I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes, I saw the sign. It goes on like that. I have Swedish friends. They are not popular in Sweden. No one in Sweden cares about Ace of Base. I don't know how that happens. But that happens. That is the first element of what makes a Rome Streetz song fun. He'll give you the title, and then you'll be like, why'd you call it that? And then it's usually not going to be in the chorus. It's usually going to be buried in a verse, and you're going to get to it. In this case, of course, it's talking about base as in base cocaine, right? Freebasing cocaine, selling that. Okay, so that's just the title, just right there. And then we get the opening here, where we have someone talking about the importance of reputation over stuff. This is a little bit of an anomaly on this album because it's not a British person in the interstitial bits. I'll get more to that in a second. but still an interesting idea. And I haven't even said the man's name. This is all produced by Darringer, who grew up about 100 miles from me right here. He grew up in Buffalo. And he is also reminding us that he is the guy. That, you know, like of all this underground rap stuff, okay, he's not an alchemist, right? But in terms of like the underground rap beats, he doesn't produce as much as everyone else. But when he does, you have to stop and you just have to appreciate it. Apparently, people tell me, I don't know why, every once in a while I talk like Trump. I don't know what's wrong with me. People tell me he doesn't sample. We love the Darringer. So I don't know if he like... I'm told that he creates all of these sounds and then samples them to make them sound like old songs, which totally works. But all over the album, his beats are just inventive, unexpected. He has certain trademarks which I'm picking up on. In particular, he does a thing where for bass, most of his bass is just one note. But often, and when it's most satisfying, it won't be on the one that it comes in, and it won't be repeated. It'll just be like, do. And on this case, that's what you have, because you have this little high note on the one, and then just before the two, it hits the note that it's going to carry for the rest of the four count. So it's do 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 do, just like that. It's so cool. I don't know if there's like harp sounds or piano sounds in the back, and just a great drum beat. I appreciate all you drumless producers. It's great, but we need to have balance in this underground rap world. So I'm very thankful that people are still using drums to boom and to bap. And then I went nutty. I did one of these. Okay, props to Adam Bradley, Book of Rhymes. Great book. Taught me how to dissect hip hop lyrics in a better way. How to describe rhyming. This is the verse, and this is what I'm talking about. You can listen to this verse and you might have heard it and just go, cool verse. But then when you really stop and slow it down, it starts to drive you mad with its brilliance, okay? First of all, it starts off with what I call an intro. So before he gets to all the sounds and rhymes and multisyllabic rhymes that are going to repeat, he gives you a little amuse-bouche, okay? A little appetizer, okay? The world is yours if you're a visionary. Life's a B-word sometimes. I F it in missionary. All right? First of all, an interesting image. And it's cool because, you know, all right, visionary, missionary, right there, that's multisyllabic. I could have highlighted that, but I don't think that's important. I think he's setting you up. He's getting you ready. You hear it, and you go, cool. And he's going to do the same thing at the outro. He's going to give you some new rhymes at the outro, some new sounds at the outro to get you ready for the chorus. All right? And then he starts this ridiculous ace rhyme run. Everywhere you see yellow is going to be the ace rhyme run, okay? Look at how many of these there are. Face to face. Was blind until I saw the signs, like ace of base. He's using the ace of base's rhymes there, okay? There's cake to make. Never complacent on the paper chase. Cake, make, basin, chase, paper chase. Now my name's ringing off all over the place. Now my name's ringing off all over the place. Like there, he's going ace, 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 and then gives you a little bit of a break from that because it gets too annoying if there's too much of it. A little break from the ace, 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 and then ace. Awesome. We're not even into the hard part yet. We're not even into the super cool part, okay? So, this is where he starts the O sounds. The O sounds are in orange, but a lot of the orange sounds are in this multisyllabic pairing that he creates that is O, beat, beat, ace. O, ace. Or sometimes O, ace. Going back to the A sounds and the O sounds, okay? Now my name's ringing off all over the place. Started off low. Okay, and then there's a different... You see how crazy I'm going? Charlie Day, right here. You see how there's a different multisyllabic run too, which is O-E-O, totem pole. Totem pole is going to be, the totem pole rhyme is also going to go through here, okay? So now my name's ringing off all over the place. O-ace, underline those in blue. That style of multisyllabic rhyme, O place, okay? And then these are in green. You can barely tell the difference between that and yellow. I apologize, I don't have that many highlighters. Totem pole, stupid wind. Totem pole with dope and a plate. Over the place, dope and a plate. Then here, he mixes them together. He mixes through the hole, totem pole, head off low, totem pole, through the hole, and then puts the hole at the end into the hole in the gate. So he's mixing together two different multisyllabic rhyme schemes in the same time, and it pivots around the hole in the gate. Do you understand? He's pivoting. He's pivoting multisyllabic rhyme runs. Hole in the gate, bold is the shape. Bold is the shape. See, this is the thing. This is how you know he's thinking. He's thinking like a poet. Because it doesn't really, like, bold is the shape? What does that even mean? What does bold is the shape even mean? But it works, and you're hearing it, and you're in this groove. And what's so great about multisyllabic rhymes and about rhyme runs like this, the way they're peppered out, is that it's rhyme and it's rhythm. It's rhyme and it's rhythm. So that's what I was saying with cake to make, place, paper chased, name place. That's the whole idea, is that it's like, it creates little sounds and little beats inside your mind. And then sometimes these end up being, of course, mosaic. If you don't know mosaic, mosaic is a multisyllabic rhyme where it can be one word rhyming with multiple words. So the biggest example is Biggie, escargot, my cargo. We see him do that here with something like totem pole. Let's see, maybe a good example there. Through the hole, totem pole. So it's a 2-word rhyme here, it's a 3-word rhyme there. Just this basic idea. Okay? Now, bold is the shape. So look at all these underlined blue things are this fascinating mixture of the two primary rhyme sounds of O and ace. And look at how many times he does these all the way throughout. Hole in the gate, bold is the shape. Now I'm big stepping over the globe. So this is back in the totem pole, through the hole, over the globe. Felt it in my soul. That one day I would ball, but I ain't playing for Golden State. Golden State. Golden State, hole in the gate, over the place, dope in a plate, Golden State. That's why he says Golden State. That's why he's bringing us back into Golden State. He could have been balling anywhere. He could have been balling for the Utah Jazz. But no, he's balling for Golden State because that matches this rhyme. Got the gold matches with over the globe, a totem pole, off, head off low, okay? I wipe your nose, it's no debate. So I would say this whole section here is Rome Streetz. This guy, okay? Mr. Flip you off with the finger and smile and loves his ring. All that goofy stuff. I think he introduces this whole concept here with just here's some nice rhymes. He then gives you an amazing verse where he just plays around with ace and o and multisyllabic o at o and multisyllabic o at plate ace and takes you all the way through and then just ends it with this. What's great is the verse starts with this missionary visionary, which is sort of multisyllabic and kind of fancy and gets you set for what's going to be there. Now we're getting into the chorus, and it's just much simpler. Okay? It's simple math. No rhymes with anything before. You gonna eat or starve. Nothing rhymes with anything before. I put 2 and 2 together, problem solved, then I evolve. So he's very consciously starting airy, airy, and ending with alv. Just totally different sounding rhymes, and then that brings you into the chorus. Do you see why I'm asking you the question? Is he a top MC? Because, man, it's so fun. Oh, it's so fun. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other rappers like in that lane, you know, like Inspector Deck, you know, who sometimes I've called boring before, but he's not boring. It's just he's unassuming. He's like not the flashiest guy. He doesn't have like that voice. Or like, you know, Fred Rose Starr from Onyx. You know, everyone thinks about Sticky Fingers, but really, if you listen to Onyx, you know, Fred Rose Starr. I can think of another example. I'll get to that in a second. So I could do that for like every song. That's how good of an MC Rome Streetz is. And as you can tell by the fact this video is not 3 hours long, I'm not going to. Next song is called Starbucks. It's a play on Starbucks. I had a friend who used to work at Starbucks, but he only called it EFOC Scubrats because that's Starbucks backwards. Here we have this like the beginning of the British criminality theme, which I think obviously ties into the fact that Rome Streetz is partially from England. You know why? You know why I never stop doing this? Because people like you make too much money for people like me. What I like about it is he plays with generations of British gangsters. Later, we're going to have younger gangsters. Here we have old 50s style gangsters, and soon we'll have 21st century style gangsters. Total Darringer boom bap beat, just this hard drums with resetting vibraphone sounds. I love his sports references, like Bill Russell and Tom Brady with the rings. You know, Bill Russell just gets a bad rap. Everyone that talks about Wilt Chamberlain and they talk about Larry Bird, they talk about Magic Jordan, but man, Bill Russell. So anyways, I really appreciate that. And he's like the man with the rings, right? No one has more rings than Bill Russell. The beat modulates, it's just great. Referencing selling drugs in the Starbucks, he's just so relentless. And then again, more British samples at the end. Leads into the song Sage, featuring Schoolboy Q. Darringer says drony. He also uses droning sounds. Like, he's a bad person to listen to making beats if you're like around a dog, because he does a lot of drone sounds. What I think is interesting about Schoolboy Q is between this and his verse on Alchemist, he's like doing something different. It's almost like on Blue Lips, he's like, okay, I know I released like one of the best albums of the year, if not the best album of the year. I still haven't decided. And so on my guest verses, I'm just going to be kind of loose and kooky. And that's what he is. Like, he kind of sings, he kind of raps. Nice catchy chorus here by Rome Streetz. And then just this repetition of just money. The outro to this song. And again, I could do this for like every song. So just be thankful that I didn't, but also be thankful that I could. Okay, so the other thing I did is I spent all week just learning about the Hatton Garden heist. I hadn't heard of it before this album. I watched a couple YouTube videos. I listened to a couple podcasts. You know, I'm trying to get up on it. It was a robbery that happened in 2015. And what's wild about it was a robbery by a bunch of old geezers, like in the British sense of the term, just old dudes, just lifetime criminals in their 70s, who figured out that there's this little part of London where there's all these safety deposit boxes, and you look into the history, and it's fascinating because there's one guy who is tied into the mob, and he's the one guy they didn't catch. They call him Basil, and he's the guy who got into the store and opened it up, and he's never been caught before. Like, who's Basil? How did Basil pull this off? Like, the dudes were such great criminals. They got into this ridiculously protected area, but then they were so old they didn't think to use burner phones. Okay, they didn't call Saul. You know, they were just like, yeah. They would like go to a pub and talk about the crime, just like hilarious. But then they didn't use any violence, so they're out of jail now. At least I think. At least the ringleader has been out of jail for like 5 years. Like, how crazy is that? Like, one of the most famous crimes. It turns out that they got caught because the guy was just driving his car around. Like, they did the robbery, and then it didn't work. And then they came back the next day because it was Easter weekend. It's like they broke into the vault but couldn't get past one of the doors. So they were just like, right, well, we'll just leave everything here. Take a spot down to Home Depot, whatever we call Home Depot in England. House Depot, and we'll get the materials we need. And then they just bought the thing, and then that's where they got caught. You know, it's a fascinating story. They still haven't recovered everything because Basil is still out there. We don't know what it is. Actually, I have a picture of Basil. Not really. I'm not actually accusing Rome Streetz of being a 70-year-old gangster. So that's what this is about, this little interstitial bit about the sleepless nights in Hatton Garden because of this one last job. Like, the story, it seems fake. It's like you watch movies and it's like one last job. This was actually one last job. Next song is called Drive By. I don't think this is on purpose, but I realized one of my favorite gangster rap albums is definitely my favorite title of an album, Music to Drive By Compton Smoke. It's so funny. It's sad, too, because drive-bys are terrible. But Music to Drive By, very funny. And I realized MC8 is actually not a bad comparison to Rome Streetz. Just like an MC where you're just like, whoa, he was really good, but you don't like think of him in that, you don't think of him in the Cube territory, but he probably was. Just a killer opening line. This great grimy guitar, which sort of reminds me a little bit of the first track on this, which samples Isaac Hayes. But again, I don't think that's on purpose. The great bass thumping, a killer opening line. Put this in your fucking pipe and smoke it. Your favorite rapper was supposed to protect his neck, and I broke it. Rome Streetz. Cuts out a bit, a killer ending verse. Listen, I got all this, gotta keep going. I'm connected like Wi-Fi, been a trailblazer like Clyde the Glide. Great basketball references on this. That shit is deep, chasing lights, cameras and action, glamour and fashion, chrome hammers and fast wagons. Can't F with me because they lack passion. Been had the glow, I'm the last dragon. That's the secret, I think. I think the secret is that he's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of passion for this rap thing, for making great raps, you know? Next track is called Cadillac Smoke. Such a killer beat, based on the drums, rising, descending keyboard runs. You know, like a really solid verse. I could quote the whole thing. I'll just quote my favorite line. Shoulder shrug with your blood on my sword. This is what I predict as the future of Rome Streetz. Rappers, big rappers, are going to start sampling some of his killer lines. Did I just make that bird go away? Rewind that. Tell me if that's what happened, because it looked like to me like I just made a bird go away with my finger. Bigger rappers are going to start sampling his voice and putting them into songs, because like shoulder shrug with your blood on my sword, like what a killer line. Blood on the sword and shoulder shrug. Man, Rome Streetz. I like Mayhem's verse as well. Kind of, Rick Ross, if Rick Ross wasn't a cop. Ends this whole thing about sort of like PCP tirade at the end. That's okay. 100 Schemes is fine. A little bit less interesting. I like the chorus. I like how the loop has speaking in the back of it. Next song is called Spike. These great blaring notes, resetting and restarting. Another amazing introduction. I made it out the dirt. Now I reside at the top of the mountain. Ain't I been the shit? Ain't shit changed, but the money amount I'm counting. Like, the idea started out of the dirt and reside on top of the mountain, because what is a mountain if not a bunch of dirt? So he made it out of the dirt and became the mountain. Yeah, it's awesome. I could just keep going. I just got so many lines here. I have to keep scrolling through my notes. Oh my God. How many... I couldn't stop quoting this stuff. I just couldn't stop quoting all these great lyrics. Overcame this pushing white, clock it like strike, had rocks for the pipe, overcame the strife, I flew around the world twice. Judas tried to stab me in the back and take it in life, laser in the gat, lay him flat, my aim is precise. I could just keep on going, but I'm not going to, because because at any time she's going to wake up. Let me see how she's doing. Alright, she's still in the same position she was in the beginning of the video. Then we get Protro featuring Conway. Darringer. If Darringer just released more music, that'd be great. Just this little jumpy guitar line, and there's so much space for the bass. There's so much space given. Uh-oh. Oh, the battery's low. Okay, now I just have to turn this off. I'm just gonna... I hope it works out. Cold shoulder, it's frost on my collarbone. I've been that in the mirror, only way I watch the throne. I'm in the mirror, the only way I watch the throne. Went from unknown to Rolling Stone, running it up in Rome. Me and Relly was flocking, running up in your home, trying to swipe some viable ish that you own. Fast forward, he's on a one of one. The mother bums just watered down clones. I'm untapped, minds is trapped on apps and they phones. They lifeless without devices in this opioid crisis. Kill 23 fiends. The plug thought he had the right mix. Crisis and right mix? What kind of multisyllabic horse hockey mosaic rhyme is that? Right mix crisis? Lifeless? I could keep going, Rome Streetz. I'm trying to give the proper amount of flowers, but it is difficult. And then Conway's on the back half of the song, and when Conway's on, no one's better than Conway, and he is super on here. Way to the World, more kind of harps, maybe low bass. More insane multisyllabic runs on the first verse here. I like Cormega, but I don't love it. It's sort of the main verse that I kind of wish wasn't on here. It's good, but yeah. Then we get to Jimmy's headband. This is funny because I used to wear a T-shirt of Jimi Hendrix from the Kiss the Skye compilation, which was the first Hendrix album that I owned. It was called Kiss the Skye, and so I used to wear a T-shirt with this image on it because I bought the cassette, and on the inside of the cassette you could send $15 and get the T-shirt back. So I did that. I put cash money in the envelope and sent it. I was like 12 years old, so that's the image, right? Actually, that's not a really good image of it. Let me see here. That isn't how I remember it. This is how I remember it. There we go. So yeah, so it was this image, right? And I wore this T-shirt. I remember my friend Andrew. He was like, "Did you know Hendrix put acid in his headband so he would trip when he sweat?" I don't know if that's true, but I remember because ever since then, when I wore that shirt, I felt a little bit uncomfortable because I was like, "Did you see how he's black and white, but the headband is all like, rainbowy?" By the way, it's a great Hendrix compilation. It's maybe the best Hendrix compilation there is because it's not just the greatest hits. It's a really interesting. I think it came out in the early 80s. Anyway, so that's the idea of Jimmy's headband. Nice ringing bell sounds, little pause. So often Darringer will use an 8 count for his loops, so not 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the bass comes in on the 5 count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Dong. Dong. And there's this like really high drone. Again, makes your dogs go crazy. Another multisyllabic crazy run with more great mosaic rhymes like Red Man and Fed Man and check scans and next plan and headband. He talks about Zangief from Street Fighter. Thank you. Can we talk about anyone other than, of all the hey, I'm sure someone's done it. Is there like a compilation of all the Street Fighter references in rap music? Because I feel like Ryu gets the most because the Hadouken, and I feel like Blanca gets a lot because he's really out there. But Zangief, I think Rome Streetz might be the Zangief of hip hop. Now the song ends with a bunch of gunshots, and it's weird because my wife grew up in war, so she doesn't really. It's not very fun for her, the sounds of war and gunshots and stuff. So she was coming downstairs, and that was making me kind of nervous because I don't like bumming her out with my music. And then like my baby was listening to the music with me, my 2-year-old, and she heard these sounds and she started crying. So I had this sort of very unpleasant moment with this song. But then cool, kind of free jazz out. And then Space X, great, more sub bass, cuts in and out, horror strings behind, almost like a choir from the soundtrack to the movie The Omen. Just really cool. Just a really awesome song. I have a friend who used to work for SpaceX, but it is increasingly difficult to be friends with him because most of his posts are just simping for Elon Musk. It's just like, dude, I've known the guy for 20 years, but man, dude, simps for Elon Musk. Whew. Reap What You Sow kind of set the album ends a lot more kind of like 70s detective show style. Opens up the second verse saying he represents intellectual violence. I buy it. I like it. Album ends with heavy traffic, more that kind of 70s detective horns going, drone strings. I make the paper thick from taking calculated risks. I'm just going to end with that one line from the chorus as a great example of Rome Streetz' facility with the English language. I want to thank my Patreons. They give me money to buy diapers and to buy music. And I am probably, if Dope comes out with, if Dope advertises selling this album, I'm probably going to end up buying this one too. Because apparently I am a huge ass Rome Streetz fan. And next time you see me, you ask me, "Hey Skye, who are some of your favorite MCs right now?" And if I don't say Rome Streetz, you say, "Skye, you told me to remind you. You told me to remind you that Rome Streetz is up there for you." And I'll go, "Oh yeah, he is." Because he makes the paper thick from taking calculated risks. Some Patreons get shout-outs. I ask them if they want it. So we got Eric from Salem, Harlan T, Zach, Super Cammy, Hunter Tice, and Og Nick Marsh. I'm kidding, it's OG Nick Marsh. But I like to be an old guy sometimes and say Og. And finally, bringing this one back. If I make this shot, you got to buy Rome Streetz on vinyl. So let's see if I make this. If I make this shot, it's worth 81 points, just like 24. Catch you on the flippity flip. Well, I made a car start. That was pretty cool. There's the camera.